Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Morphing Tower Podcast. That's right, the Morphing Tower Podcast, where every episode you don't know what's going to happen, and that's on purpose. I would like to start off today's episode by reading this is an actual letter. I know this handwriting anywhere. This is from Sleeper, our mysterious voyeuristic friend. It reads thusly: It begins soon. The feathery column blots out the sun, and now they begin flying in circles, some clockwise, some counter, and though it's difficult to see through my binoculars, it looks like there is a man standing at its center with his arms stretched wide. Perhaps this is only my imagination running wild. Don't fear, brave survivors. I don't think the birds are after you. It's the tower, the building itself. There's something about it that these avians don't like. This requires more research. Stay strong, Sleeper. Which, man, I don't know where this Sleeper is. I don't think he's inside this building anywhere. All of his letters are like paper airplanes, so maybe he's in the building next door. I don't know, but it's nice to know that someone on the outside is seeing what's going on with the giant grouping of birds. Well, anyways, all of that aside, I am joined by, once again, a very special guest. Welcome back to the podcast, Simeon.
Hello.
And this episode is coming at you live from... What exactly is this place?
It's my party it's my dungeon.
Party dungeon? Party? I was wondering what the disco ball was for.
Yeah, we turn that on like, once it gets dark, we turn on the disco ball and, have a little party. There's no one here right now, but usually it kind of picks up around like 8. That's when people kind of start coming in.
Is this where you've been recording all of your music, is just live in a dungeon?
Yeah, for the most part. Sometimes I go like next door to the coffee shop, but the dungeon works like pretty well. It's pretty like, it's got the vibes and the atmosphere. It's
been a minute since you were on the podcast.
I know it was like when was it, last year? It was last year, right? But I don't remember when. Yeah.
I can't even remember how long it's been. But like here at the top of the episode, there's a couple things that, like, obviously since I follow you on social media and stuff like that, first of all, I wanted to offer congratulations on you getting married.
Oh yeah, that was in December. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I think you had just gotten engaged recently or something like that when we recorded the previous episode. Let's see, when was this one? March of 2023.
Oh yeah, so it's been like literally like probably a few weeks before.
Yeah. So yeah, first of all, congratulations on that. Second of all, congratulations on your music taking off in a major way. Your Argonaut projects, like Master of Doom, 14K sitting at right now.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I was super surprised because I just started putting stuff out, and it started doing like way better than anything I'd ever done before, and I have no idea why. It was crazy.
Well, I think it's cool the fact that like I looked at your updated profile on YouTube, and the fact that you started releasing Dungeon Synth because you find it fascinating, and like you liked Dungeon Synth when you first released Doriath, like that's why you released it. It wasn't because you were like, oh, this is gonna do gangbusters if I release this. No, it was like, I'm passionate about this style of music, and then you released it, and then it started getting a ton of attention, and like I was so freaking excited for you because I was just like, I'm so happy that more people are finding your stuff.
Yeah, it really was like, I was just like, I like started listening to it like last year, I think, just while I was like doing school, like to the genre, because it's like nice background music. And then I just really liked it and started making it and putting it out just because I liked making it. And yeah, it just kind of took off, which has been great.
Yeah, something that I've mentioned, like I try to leave comments on stuff. Sometimes I forget, but one of the things that I appreciate about the dungeon synth music that you've been making is the fact that you don't use instruments or sounds or plugins that people would necessarily stereotypically think of as, oh, that's like a fantasy dungeon synth sound. Because this is also like your interpretation of the genre and you adding to the genre, in my opinion. Like, your tracks don't have like a samey feel to them where it never feels like you're limiting yourself to like 3-4 instruments and like a hyper specific sound. It's like, no, you kind of go all over the place with the sounds that you pick, and I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, because actually the way it started, I was like, oh, I'll do like some like kind of 8-bit sounding stuff, but then I wanted to like I've done it now a couple full albums, and I always try to have like very different like sounds, like as in like no like 2 songs on the album sound very similar unless they're meant to like go together. So I try to like, and each time I try to make each album like unique and like have its own thing, you know. So I do try to do like a couple like very like dungeon synthy sounding songs on each one though, you know, to like break it up. But
yeah. I mean, what's really cool is like, I don't know if you're on this part of like Instagram or whatever, but every once in a while I come across those reels where it's like, you know, people have their gripes about AI. I totally get that. But one of the coolest things that I've seen people do with AI is like they'll interpret. So some of my favorite ones, my brother will send these to me, are like Minecraft reimagined as like sort of old like novels, old fantasy novels, where it looks like the cover art. And your music would go freaking perfectly underneath those videos, like showcasing, like, what if Minecraft, but it was like an old fantasy novel art? Like, what would it look like? Like, your music specifically, I feel like would go so well with that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, that's like kind of what I was going for. Actually, in Master of Doom, literally when I started it, I was making like themes. Like, okay, this is like a traveling theme, like when you're like wandering through the world, and then this is like a boss theme, and then this is like a dungeon theme. Like if it was like levels in a game or something, you know. And then it kind of turned into a whole album after that. Like that was like the first 5. I had like specifically been like, oh, this would be like a retro game, and these are like the soundtrack that would play when you're like wandering around or, you know, doing different things, or like this is like the theme for like a village, that specific like location. So
what was the impetus for like releasing the music under like a different pseudonym, like as Argonaut? Like that's your dungeon synth music persona, kind of?
Yeah, well, the reason was, first of all, my name isn't very like dungeon synth sounding, I guess. So I wanted to, and I also wanted to make like a cool Bandcamp page and do like a logo for it, and I also know that like there are like, because I'm like part of a couple like group like dungeon synth like groups on like Discord and Reddit and stuff. And some people have like several different dungeon synth projects where they're basically each one has like its own theme, kind of, and then like, a different name. Yeah. So I kind of was going along that line where it's like, okay, I'll just make this, but I'm probably not going to make several different ones. I think I'm just going to keep it all under Argonaut, because that seems a little too complicated to try to like branch off and have like 3 or 4 different names.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot to manage, and also just like, dude, merch coming when, dude?
Okay, actually, I haven't like told anyone about this, but I currently have 2. I don't know when they're coming, but 2 cassette tapes for Master of Doom and Colossus. So my first album, and then the EP should be coming eventually. I know the Colossus one actually may be coming first. They're with 2 different people, but yeah, we've made like a deal to do cassette tapes. So there should be cassette tapes coming out sometime soon. I'm not sure exactly when, because they're still working on them.
That's so awesome, dude.
Yeah, and then I think we'll be doing one for my new album, Dark Halls, eventually. I'm not sure when that'll be, but it takes a little while. But I'll make an announcement when they're coming, when I actually have like a date for when they're coming out. But it shouldn't be too long. I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to send me that, because I'll be like first in line to snap some of those up.
Yeah. And that's a big thing in like dungeon synth is cassette tapes. So I've already got several. So
sort of leaning into that more analog flavor.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because like I don't know any other like group that's quite as into like cassettes and stuff. It's like a huge thing. Like I think like anyone that like does decent has like cassettes that they put out for their music and if they do dungeon synth, which I think is interesting because I don't know any other genre that leans so heavily into that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're already going for like an older arcade aesthetic, you're sort of leaning into those pixels, right? But the fact that it also goes into like cassettes, I don't know. I think it's there's something magical about it, and it definitely gives it a very specific tone. And leaning into those limitations of that sort of tech, like it definitely adds a layer. It's like adding a filter to it, but in a more extreme sense. Instead of just like activating a plugin, you're actually like, no, I want the end product to be in an older form of tech on purpose. And I actually think that's amazing. I love that so much.
Which is funny because it's like way harder. It's like way harder to make cassette tapes, but it's like way more common in Dungeon Synth for people to do cassettes than CDs, which is fascinating. Another thing is I think there's like pride in like how analog can you be when you're making your music. like mine is digital. I'm trying to like if I have time because it takes way longer to do like all like the analog and like actual synths and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easier for me to like flip through like different plugins and patches and stuff on. I actually use GarageBand.
Oh, okay.
It's like way easier than if I was like, okay, I'm gonna record my synth that I have, and then if I want to change the sound, I have to go back and re-record it. So
yeah, that's tougher.
Yeah, but yeah, there is like in the community like this kind of like thing where it's like people really like whenever they hear something where it's like, oh, I did this whole thing on like this and this synth, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do that soon.
So I have some fun stuff for us to look at real quick. So it was on the topic of dungeons and stuff like that, because that was the kick I was on before I started recording here at the terminal. I just started like looking stuff up about dungeons, and
I like dungeons.
I think you'll find some of this very fascinating. You might have already read this webpage for all I know, but this is by Exploring Castles. And the title of it is The Castle Dungeon and the Oubliettes, The Truth About These Medieval Prisons.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah. So I'll just read a little bit. I'll just pick bits and pieces from this article because there's some interesting information here. And I quote from the article. There are many myths and misunderstandings about the castle dungeon. Many people imagine dungeons to be dank, dark, and deep vaults below a castle where prisoners were held and where the unluckiest among them were tortured. However, this image doesn't really hold true. The castle dungeon evolved, strangely enough, from being a prison within the tallest, most secure tower of the castle. Dungeons weren't always underground. And then, scrolling down, blah, 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 talking about the purpose. Obviously, we know what a purpose of a dungeon was. Yes. Quoting again from the article, initially, these prisons were in towers. These were considered to be the strongest parts of the castle and the areas which could be best defended if a prisoner wanted to escape. Eventually, these new prisons began to be called castle dungeons, which was an English adaptation of the old French words of donjon. Remember that donjon in medieval times just meant a secured tower or great keep.
Very interesting. So it didn't necessarily mean a prison at first?
No, it was just like a keep, a castle keep.
Okay. Interesting.
But the main thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to these castles is the freaking oubliette.
Okay, that's what I know about already. So that's,
yes, yeah. These are actually insane. Actually wild.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, this last thing from the article is funny. It's strange, isn't it, that the dungeons moved within the highest castle towers down into the lowest castle cellars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like it was one dungeon that went from the tower. And
no.
They moved them. Like,
yeah. The prisoner clothing chute design.
Yeah.
It's just a slide that takes you all the way down.
They take them up to the top tower and they just have a chute. Yeah. Shove them in.
The king has a lever by the throne that he can just pull and it just drops them straight down.
Right.
The oubliette. These things are wild, and I know you know about them. But I came across this word playing through Monument Valley, and I didn't know what an oubliette was, and then I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh. Because like this article goes specifically into like its meaning. So the oubliette, or the forgotten room, was a punishment worse than being thrown into a castle dungeon. The oubliette was a tiny vertical shaft which was often only large enough for an individual to stand up in. They wouldn't have been able to crouch down, to kneel, to sit, or perhaps even turn around in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yep, and they just shove them in a hole, basically, and lock them in.
It's the fact that the word originally just translates to, in the original French, is quite literally, well, first of all, from Merriam-Webster, oubliette, a dungeon with an opening only at the top, because there were some oubliettes that were like larger and more spacious, but like the most egregious of them were literally just like a human slot. And the etymology, French, from Middle French, from oublier, to forget.
That's crazy. I don't remember, I didn't read about like how they were treated while they were in there, like if they were fed and stuff, or just...
They could be, it would just depend on how important a prisoner you were.
I guess.
It's the whole concept of like, you name it, the forgotten room. Because like, there could have literally been an instance where a king or a queen sentences someone to an oubliette and just forgets. Like, they're so like out of sight, out of mind. They're just a part of the castle at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, they just get built into the wall.
It's such a wild idea. Which brings us neatly into the game for this episode, everyone's favorite part of the show, Max's custom dungeon designs. So, I have decided on a whim to go into my mind palace and construct a mind dungeon for you to traverse. There are 3 levels to this dungeon, okay? And I've already typed out what's on each level of the dungeon. Out of sheer curiosity, do you happen to have any D20s floating around?
No, I don't.
Okay. Would you be able to pull up a D20 generator on the terminal?
I'm punching it in.
I have some encounters for you. This isn't going to be actual D&D. However, you are going to have to come up with some creative solutions to deal with each level of the dungeon.
Sweet. I'm ready.
Okay.
And I'm armed.
All right. Excellent.
Dangerous.
Of course. The heavy wooden doors creak open. Light pouring in from behind you as the full moon is high in the sky. Littered around the room are thousands and thousands of bones. Describe your character.
I am 5 feet tall. I'm blue for some reason, but like a light blue, so like still like human skin color, but a little bluish.
Okay.
And I've got kind of pointy ears. I'm gonna be wearing a baseball cap.
Okay.
I don't know where I got it from. I think it just like came through like a portal or something one day, and I'm like, I don't know where it came from. I never seen anything like it before.
Rad.
But I liked it, so I held on to it. And I'm gonna have on like a nice little like green tunic, kind of like Link style.
That's good.
And I'll have on jogging shorts and and some cowboy boots.
Okay. Strong look. I like it. Okay.
Thanks.
As you enter the center of the room, you begin to hear some rattling. At the far end of the room, there sits one large iron chair. And all of a sudden, bones from around the room start rolling towards the throne, slowly assembling into a large and sturdy skeleton.
Hello.
So your first thing is you're going to try and converse with the skeleton.
Yes, I'm gonna say hello there.
Okay. At that, the skeleton sitting in the chair looks up at you and then motions to its throat and then makes a slashing motion across its neck and then shrugs.
So, hello, Mr. Skeleton. I'm guessing you can't speak because you don't have vocal cords.
He nods vigorously.
Okay. Do you know sign language?
Okay, hold on. You rolled a 7. So no, he doesn't.
Oh, dang. Okay. Okay. Is there any like charcoal or anything around that I could use to like write with?
Roll a d20. Roll an investigation check.
It's a 7. It's not much better.
Yeah, you don't see any. The room is kind of dark. But yeah, the skeleton, he's just sitting there on the throne, sort of shrugging.
I'm just gonna tentatively poke him on the kneecap.
Okay.
How big is the skeleton?
This would be like the skeleton of a large human. So it's not like
it's not like a massive. Like
yeah. It's
okay,
like
so I'm not quite as scared as I was before.
Right. So you approach the throne and you just sort of poke him in the kneecap.
Yeah, I just want to see what he does.
I like this. Okay, so you go up. Go ahead and roll a performance check. Roll another d20. We're gonna say as a musician that you get to add some for performance. Okay. I'm gonna say you get a +3.
Okay. Here we go. Rolling. Oh, an 8. I'm doing really bad.
So the +3 to performance. You rolled an 11. You poke the kneecap, and this dry bone, it makes like a plunk sound.
Like a tallow?
A little bit. And the skeleton cocks his head to the side.
Interesting. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I know what he wants now. I know everything about him. No, I don't. But here's what I'm gonna do. Since I'm a musician, I guess I'm kind of like a bard. So I'm gonna just pull out my lute and just start playing a little Sweet Child of Mine for him.
Okay, I like it. Roll d20s with advantage. So you get to roll 2 and you take the higher. And remember, you have +3 to performance.
My first was a 15.
Okay, that's 18.
And my second was a 17, so that's a 20.
Okay, that's a dirty 20. You rolled a dirty 20 performance check. So you start playing the lute. And as you start playing, you hear other rattling across the room. And all of a sudden, you start seeing a couple different skeletons shambling forward. And as they shamble forward, they start scooping bones up off the ground. And they start sort of, like stomp. They just start playing the bones on other objects in the room.
Oh, very nice. I don't know.
They start playing along with you.
Oh, I knew that they'd like this song. That's a good one. That's a goodie. It's an oldie but a goodie.
As you play this song, you see more and more skeletons advancing around the throne, and they all just start playing music, and they just sort of shamble back and forth, shimmy, sway. They start doing little dances, and the skeleton on the throne sort of bows to you and picks up some bones and starts playing the bones on the throne.
Oh, goodness. Well, I don't know where to go from here, so let me see. I'm gonna think of something. I'm gonna do a sick solo on the lute.
Okay.
Real quick.
All right. So you're trying to find a way to trying to find a dismount.
Yeah.
So you're playing the solo.
Yep. Things are going crazy.
Yep. Things are going wild. Go ahead and roll another performance check.
The club's bopping. Oh, 7.
With a +3, that's 10.
10.
Which isn't the worst. It just means that the song, you stop playing after your solo, and they keep playing.
Oh.
And everybody in this first level of the dungeon seems pretty dang chuffed.
They're chuffed. That's good. All right, so they're still playing, though. I don't want to interrupt their music, but
yep, they're just vibing.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask them a question, but in the melody of the song, so like I'm singing it, so I don't want to interrupt.
Right. Okay, ask your question.
So basically what I'm going to ask is if they can show me where to go, but I'm going to sing it, and I don't feel like doing it right now because I just woke up a little bit ago.
Okay, I love it. So singing along with the tune that has been played by the skeletons, you ask them what direction you should go.
Yes.
At this, the head skeleton who was sitting on the throne rises, and as everybody else is still dancing around, playing the bones on stuff, he walks over to a small iron grate on the floor. You know what it is. It's an oubliette.
Oh, no.
And he lifts it open. And then he walks back over to the throne and he picks up a small leather pouch.
I love leather pouches.
He digs his hand around in it, his bony little hands, and he plucks out 1 gold coin.
Oh.
And he hands it to you.
I know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to throw it into the oubliette.
Oh, okay. All right, go ahead.
I'm going to make a wish and flip the coin into the oubliette.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Well, but for like lost souls, I don't know.
I'm gonna just quickly. Okay, so I just flipped a coin here digitally, and as it turns out, you rolled heads, which is good.
But it's like at the bottom of the oubliette.
Yeah. So what was your wish?
Okay, so I just wished that I could have like a really great club sandwich like right now.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
it landed heads. So what happens is, after you flip this coin and it tumbles down into the oubliette, some large wooden doors swing open at the back end of the room. And as you start walking that direction, in your hand, slowly apparating, seemingly out of nothing, is a large, delicious club sandwich.
That's great, because I was hungry and I hadn't eaten all day before getting to this dungeon. So, yeah, everything's going well right now, I think.
You have successfully traversed level 1.
And I have a sandwich.
And you have a sandwich. As you walk into the next room, you see that you are now standing before a large, sleeping ogre.
Oh. Okay. I like ogres.
And above his head, there are a bunch of metal cages with a bunch of sleeping birds.
Oh, interesting. Do I have any ability to like perceive magic?
I will say that you can roll a d20 to detect magic.
Okay. I'm going to see if there's anything magical going on in this room. I rolled a 16.
You try to detect magic in this room to see if there's anything magical going on in here. And you notice, with your new magical sight, that there is something directly behind the ogre that is giving off a magical aura.
How big is the room? Am I able to like sneak around the ogre that's asleep?
The room is large, so is the ogre. I'm gonna say that the ogre is large enough that you would have to basically press yourself against the walls of the room if you were trying to go around him.
Are there enough cages that I could traverse the room using the cages that aren't like? Would I be able to get up to one of the cages and use that to see over the ogre? Or
there
something?
are some low cages that hang lower to the ground. At 5 foot, you would be able to jump up and just grab one.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up on one of the cages and see if I can see over the ogre. Are they close enough together that I could get onto more cages from there?
Yeah, they're pretty clustered together.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll an athletics check.
Oh boy, I'm not very athletic. Oh, 11. That's not too bad.
All right, with an 11, you jump up onto the cage. And as you jump up onto the cage to look over the ogre, you see that there's a small pedestal with what looks to be some sort of a Ming vase sitting on top of a plush pillow. But with that 11, you do successfully jump up there, but it's not pretty. And the cage jostles a bit. And all of a sudden, the bird that's inside the cage opens its eyes.
Oh no. What kind of bird is it?
I'm gonna say it's a raven.
Okay, ravens are a bit bigger. I don't want to be a murderer. I was gonna kill it, but I think I'm gonna give it my sandwich.
Oh, interesting. The whole thing?
I'll give it half because I'm still kind of hungry.
Okay. So you look at this bird and you break off half of the sandwich and put it inside the cage. Go ahead and roll animal handling with advantage. So you get to roll twice, and I'll say you get to add 3 as well.
Sweet. Okay, my first one was 11 again, and then 14. So that's
17 is your higher roll. That's the one that will be taken. The bird is pacified and starts munching on the sandwich.
Very good. Very good. Ah. Okay, so there's a Ming vase. I'm on top of the cage. I don't know if I'm gonna try climbing up on other cages because I don't want to wake up more birds. I'm gonna run out of my sandwich. How tall is the ogre? It's pretty big, right?
It's pretty big. It's lying on its side. I'm going to say that it is like 7 foot tall on its side. Like,
Ooh.
tall enough, big enough that you couldn't just like jump over it.
Yeah. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to jump up, grab another cage, and just quickly swing over the ogre and get to the vase.
Okay. All right. So that'll be another athletics check.
Yeah. Okay, I rolled a 12.
All right. With the 12, you successfully jump onto the cage, swing, jump off, land. But then the bird inside that second cage opens its eyes and starts cawing a little bit and goes, caw, caw. I'm going to roll for the ogre. Rolled a 10. Does not wake up.
Oh, okay. In that case, I'm gonna go inspect the vase.
Okay.
I'm gonna look inside and see if there's anything inside of it.
All right. As you approach the vase, you take a look at it, and you can see that the patterns and the markings on the outside of the vase are shifting and moving as if they're animated.
Interesting. Very cool.
It doesn't have one designer pattern. It's constantly changing.
Is there anything inside of it?
When you look inside, you don't see anything. No.
Okay. Is there anything on the other side of the pedestal or anything else around there that...
There's a large wooden door.
Oh, but I need... Okay, I'm assuming that's locked. I'm gonna try to open it, but I'm assuming it's locked.
Yeah, it's locked.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I don't know who else to ask about this vase. I'm gonna grab it and see what happens if I pick it up.
Okay. You grab hold of the vase, and in so doing, you can hear something in the vase.
Oh. I can hear something. Like, what does it sound like?
It just sounds like an object inside.
Like it's rolling around in there?
Shaking around, rattling around, yeah.
But I can't see anything in there.
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna reach my hand in.
Okay. You reach your hand down in, and this vase is much deeper than it appears. Your hand extends far down lower than the actual base of it should go. And you start feeling around, and you can feel lots of things down in the bottom.
Oh, what do they feel like?
They're all hard objects. You cannot necessarily tell what they are. Some of them feel like coins. Some of them feel like scraps of paper, just baubles and trinkets.
How big is like the neck of it? Like how easily does my hand fit in?
It's a pretty wide top.
Okay, so I could like pull something out without getting my hand stuck in it. I'm gonna just pull something out of there.
Okay, you're gonna pull an object out. That means that I get to roll again for the ogre to see how loud this jingling is.
Oh boy.
Rolled a 7, doesn't notice anything. You successfully pull out a key.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna try the door and see if it opens the door.
You fit the key into the lock and it turns and the door does open.
Okay. Can the ogre follow me through the door?
Presumably if it wanted to, it'd have to crouch down and kind of crawl through, but it wouldn't be able to easily follow you.
Okay, I'm gonna reach my hand in and take something else out of the bit.
Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. Let me roll for the ogre. All right, so you successfully pull out an apple-sized red gem.
Oh.
But the
nice.
jingling and jostling of that action has awoken the ogre.
Oh no!
With its back to you, it slowly starts to move and it goes, "Who's there?"
Okay, I'm going to pull something else out of the bag.
Okay, I'm gonna. All right, let me roll to see.
I just want to like furiously like pull like as many things out of the vase as I can before he turns around.
Okay, this ogre is dumb. He still has his back to you. He's looking what's directly in front of him. At this point, all the birds are starting to caw and scream and squawk. You successfully pull out a small parchment that is wrapped up in ribbon.
Okay, stuff that in my pocket. Pull out something else.
Okay, rolling again. That's a 12. You pull out a gold coin. The ogre spins his head around and turns to look at you and says, "Are you stealing from me?"
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip the gold coin at the ogre and then run out of the room
Ooh.
with all the stuff that I pulled out.
Okay. I like it. Are you taking the vase?
Yes, I'm taking this.
Okay. So go ahead and roll deception with advantage.
Okay. I rolled a 15 for the first one and a 19 for the second one.
Oh, beautifully done. So you flip the coin, and instinctively the ogre goes to...
Oh, and I make a wish as I throw the coin just in case I can do that.
You flip the coin, throwing it at the ogre's face, and he instinctively goes to catch it. What did you wish for?
That the ogre would turn into a little potbelly pig.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just arbitrarily flip a die. Nothing happens.
Okay. I didn't think anything would happen.
No. It turns out that just throwing coins doesn't necessarily give you a wish every time, but I like the hustle.
It was worth the shot. I'm just gonna, anytime I have to like do anything with a coin, I'm just gonna make a wish just in case.
Yeah, safe bet. You've successfully traversed level 2, and you have a parchment wrapped up in ribbon, and you have a large gem, and you got the key, and now you have the vase.
Yeah, and the ogre is still mad at me, so I'm gonna try to shut the door behind me so he can't follow me.
Okay, since he's sufficiently distracted by the gold coin, I'll say that you close the doors behind you with little difficulty.
Okay, cool.
You are now into the third.
I still have my sandwich too.
Yeah, you still have half your sandwich. Let's not forget that. You are now into the third level of my dungeon. All right, so for this, in order to find out what is in this room, I need you to type into the terminal what day of the month you were born on. Ah, I see. Oh, that's even worse. Okay. So I am using something I've used before in the past for previous episodes. It is a Dark Souls boss title generator that is generated by letters of the last name and the day you were born combined. You walk into the next room, and the room is completely dark except for a shaft of light shining on a fixed point in the middle of the room, and it seems to be some sort of a wash basin. And at the far end of the room, 2 glowing red orbs slowly grow in intensity and heat, and stepping forward, now stepping into the shaft of light, just illuminating it a little bit, is a horrible visage of the Nightborn Executioner.
I don't like those words to come to mind, especially.
It's a large, very large figure in sort of old, tattered robes with an executioner's hood over top its face with just the holes for the eyes, and it wields a large axe, bloodied with the blood of many victims.
Dang. It's like inspirational. Makes me want to make a song about him. Maybe I'll do that. Okay, hold on. How so is he's like right by that wash basin right now? Is he like mean mugging me, or is he just kind of like looking at me?
You've definitely just walked into his room, so he's standing up and he's brandishing his axe sort of as a warning.
Okay. I'm going to pull out my loot again and try plucking out a little tune. And this guy seems like he's someone that would like some like Metallica or something. So I'm just gonna play like an instrumental version of One by Metallica.
If you decide to creatively use any of the items that you currently have in your inventory, I will give you advantage on your performance roll.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do then. I have the gem. Oh, the parchment. I forgot I had the parchment. Wait, first, before I do this, I'm gonna open up the parchment.
You undo the ribbon on the parchment and you unroll it. And it says, in sort of flowery, flowing script, "Wash clean these hands that have shed so much blood."
Okay. Oh, then this is perfect. Okay, I'm gonna play One by Metallica with the ruby as a pick.
Okay, I like it. So roll performance with advantage.
And as I do this, I'm gonna start like slowly walking towards the wash basin. Oh, ew, the first one was a 5. Okay, 17.
17 plus 3, that is a dirty 20. That is a successful roll. So you take out this precious gem and you use it as a pick so that way you can play your instrument in a different way. And you play this song, and as you're playing it, you're stepping towards the wash basin that this huge monster is standing between you and it. And as the sonorous notes bounce off the walls of this dark room, slowly, ever so slowly, the Nightborn Executioner steps one step back away from you and the wash basin. And then another step back. And then another step back. And now he holds his axe in a different way. He flips it down so that way the head of the axe is on the ground, and he leans his arms on the handle and sort of rests his chin on it and is just fixated upon you approaching the wash basin.
Once I get closer to the wash basin, is there anything like interesting going on inside of it, or is it just like a bowl with water in it?
As you approach the wash basin, I'll say you're now standing right in front of it and looking down into the reflection of the water. You see that there are these sort of spiraling forms wafting around in the water, sort of like souls, sort of lost in the water. Like Dark Souls? No. As you approach the basin, and now you're standing right next to it, slowly, the Nightborn Executioner drops to his knees and extends out his hands that are covered in bright crimson blood.
Okay. As I finish, I'm going to finish playing my song for him, and then, are his hands close enough that I can, touch them?
You'd have to, he's not right next to the wash basin. You'd have to walk several feet off in one direction.
Oh, I wonder if I can do this. I'm going to try scooping up the water in the vase.
Ah, interesting idea. You lower the lip of the vase into the water, and it just continues to fill. This is a large wash basin. There's a lot of water in there, and you're able to just submerge the vase. And it just keeps filling and filling and filling with water, this vase that seemingly has no bottom, until you've gotten as much of the water out as possible. And you now have the water in the vase.
Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to try getting closer to him with the vase.
Okay. He does not do anything as you approach. His hands are still outstretched. Okay, so I'm not gonna dump the vase over because I don't want anything else to fall out, but I'm just gonna tip it so that hopefully water will start coming out, and I'm gonna try pouring water on his hands from the vase. You tip the vase up and you slowly pour water out. And as this water that has these strange floating ghostly forms inside of it cascades out of the lip of the vase, falling, being illuminated by the light from high above, from the moon outside, the water drips onto the large, weathered hands of this huge creature, this monster. And as the water makes contact with his blood-stained hands, the blood slowly starts to slough off until finally his hands are completely clean.
And then I give him my sandwich.
In one final heroic act, you offer him half a sandwich. And this large Nightborn Executioner takes it, thankfully, stands up, and motions to you across the room. Behind the basin, there is yet another door, but this door is gilded with gold.
Ooh. Well, first I'm gonna do a little head nod to the big guy. Yep. All right, cool. I'm going to just walk that way and try opening the door.
The door is locked with a large golden chain.
Okay.
And you can hear that the Executioner is munching us on the sandwich behind you.
That's good. Yeah, if he's munching on a sandwich, then he's hopefully not doing anything suspicious back there.
Nope.
I'm gonna just dump the vase and see what comes out of it.
Okay. You overturn the vase, and random items fall out. Some seemingly useful, others seemingly not. It seems like the ogre was just sort of throwing any random items that he had in there. There's some miscellaneous bones. There's just some small rocks. There's a lot of water that comes out for obvious reasons.
Yep.
There's like a shoe, like just one shoe. There appears to be some sort of large ogre tooth, but no keys.
Okay, yeah. It was worth a shot.
As you stand there over the top of all the rest of the items that were inside the vase, you hear a large scraping sound, and you turn around, and the executioner has flipped his axe handle out towards you and is offering it to you.
Oh, man. What a pal. Okay, so I'm going to take his axe and just try to break the lock with his axe then.
Okay, go ahead and roll strength check with advantage.
Okay. Oh, 1. And another 1. Ugh. That was nasty.
Oh, man. So you... So what happens is both times you go to lift up the axe to swing, and this axe is huge. This is a massive axe. And both times you try and lift it, but you cannot lift it over your head. And after the second attempt, the executioner, as graciously as possible, takes the axe back from you and motions for you to step back. And with one swift motion, he smashes the lock with the axe, and the doors swing open to reveal a room full of precious gems and gold.
Whoa. I'm gonna go in there. I'm just gonna give the executioner my ruby, by the way, because I don't really need that anymore. So I'm gonna give that to him too when I head out. I mean, I guess he has this room full of gold, so he probably doesn't need it, but I'm gonna hand him the ruby and then head into that room.
Okay, cool. You hand the executioner the ruby. But yeah, you have successfully traversed all 3 levels of my dungeon and have found the treasure room.
Yes.
You win.
Unlimited sandwiches.
You've won.
I can buy a new loot. I finally have enough money.
Great job.
Buy all of the synths that I could ever need.
I loved your solutions to the problems.
Thank you. I'm glad that sandwich came in handy.
It did.
Times.
Multiple times. My favorite was you hurriedly stealing from the vase, even though you knew the ogre was awake. You're like, how much stuff can I get out of here before I have to run?
Yeah. I was hoping maybe there'd be something I could use against him, but yeah, it worked out.
Well done.
Thank you. Oh, that was a great adventure. A little mini adventure.
Yes, of course.
And I made friends with the Nightborn Executioner too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the best part. Like, the real treasure was the friends I made along the way.
That's right. That one bird, the skeleton.
Yep. All
the executioner. Yeah, exactly. You made so many friends.
I would have tried to make friends with the ogre, but I was just a little worried. He seemed kind of angry.
Yeah, I mean, you were stealing his stuff.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair.
Yeah, that was my pacifist run. Maybe, like, if I do it again, maybe I'll do a... what's the opposite of a pacifist?
Oh, dang, what's it called? Genocide run.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's called a genocide run. I remember when Undertale first came out, that was all the rage, was just like, okay, I'm going to play the game normal, and then I'm going to do a pacifist run and a genocide run.
Yeah. Yeah, so my next character will be a genocidal crazy person.
Have you ever played D&D before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, really?
No, I've wanted to, but I never have.
I feel like you would excel at coming up with solutions.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I think most problems can be solved with a sandwich, I feel like.
A sandwich
like a well-timed sandwich is always good.
A well-timed sandwich and a well-timed song.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
solve not most, I won't say most, but there's a lot of problems that can be solved with a well-timed sandwich or song.
So outside of, getting married and then the albums dropping and all that, what else is going on in life?
I graduated college
Oh, nicely
in
done.
August. Yeah.
Congrats. That's
So,
huge too. You have so much stuff since the last time we talked. That's massive. Congratulations.
I know. Thank you. And so I started working full time now. So yeah, I'm a full-time engineer right now, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Dude, that's
Making
awesome.
engineering stuff.
I'm so excited for you. That's awesome.
Thanks. My gaming has gone it's non-existent. Like I haven't been playing any games at all, except a few weeks ago I started playing this game called Voidtrain. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've heard of it, but what is it?
So it's super cool. So what it is, it's kind of like, okay, have you heard of or played the Raft?
Yes, I pplayed Raft before.
Yeah, Raft. It's similar to that in that you're on a train you're on a train track that's in another dimension. It's going through this void, and you're collecting resources that are floating by. But basically, you're doing that to it's a survival game. So you're upgrading your train and hiring these little aliens to join your crew, and then there's stops, or there'll be enemies that attack you, and there's guns and stuff, and you can customize your guns, and it's fun. If you're into
sounds fun.
Survival games and crafting stuff, yeah, it's super fun.
Games like Lethal Company, games like Sea of Thieves. I really want to play Content Warning. I haven't got a chance to play that one yet.
I don't even know what that is.
It's kind of like Lethal Company, but a little bit more lighthearted. But the whole premise of the game is that you're trying to find clippable moments. You and your friends go down in this diving bell, and you go down to this weird sort of forgotten world, and you go down there with a camera, but your camera has very limited storage, so you just have to pick and choose what you're recording, and then you post it online afterwards. It's pretty meta, and it's really funny, but you get more money based on what clips you got. If your friend got attacked by a monster and you record it, that's you get more views and more money for that. Or if
great.
You can flip the camera around. You gotta watch it, man. It's so funny because at the end of every round, you basically get a mini compilation of that round. You can also save it to your computer afterwards, just as a file, which is cool.
That is super meta. I love that. That's great. That sounds that sounds super awesome, because it's you're playing one of those games like Lethal Company or something, but then it has that whole meta thing twisted on as well. That's super fun.
Because it acts as such a perfect recap. Because the stuff that always gets me is always the pre-game chatter of your friends goofing around on the overworld, and then it's just hard cuts and you're running from a monster with a drill for a face, just screaming, and then it'll cut again, and it's all the the one guy who died isn't in the diving bell anymore. It's just awkward silence as the other three are going back up. It's just so funny.
Oh, wait, I gotta look this up on Steam.
It's cheap as chips and it can run on a toaster.
That's great. Let me look this up. Content warning. Yeah, this sounds super fun. That definitely sounds like something I'd be into. I actually got Lethal Company and I have not played it yet either. So.
Dude, I still need to have you on the gaming channel, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm having a little more time to play games now because things are kind of settling down now that I'm out of college and stuff. But yeah.
We'll have to set that up because between Lethal Company, Phasmophobia, Content Warning, there's a couple different games that I've been wanting to bring more friends on board for. And I'm hoping to be able to do that. If not at the end of this year, because I have crazy stuff going on with school, into next year, for sure you'll be at the top of my list for people to try and schedule stuff with, because that would be so much fun.
That would be fun, especially if you haven't played Content Warning yet. That is something that I'd want to get into.
And I have at least one or two other friends who want to play it too who haven't before. So we'd have the numbers.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd be down. Probably next year though, because I'm going out of the country.
Wait, you're going out of the country?
Yeah, in December for Christmas. We're going to India.
Oh dang, that's cool.
We're gonna be gone for most of the month.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. So I'll probably be gone until January. But if you want to, I'd totally be willing after we get back to play something.
Well, thank you all so much for listening to the Morphing Tower podcast. Thanks again, Simeon, for being willing to be a repeat guest. This was a lot of fun getting a chance to catch up with you and play a fun little game.
Yeah, I didn't know that we were going to be doing any like role playing game stuff, but that was super fun. I enjoyed it. And if I haven't played D&D, but if it's like that, I would definitely want to do that again.
Like I said, I feel like you're a natural at it. You should definitely be playing D&D, but I think everybody should be playing D&D, so that's just my own little thing. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Morphing Tower podcast, everyone. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.